I probably don't need to explain this, however, this is part 2. So, you can just check out part 1 in the description, or you can continue watching if you don't think the first 25 entries are that important. Let's just get straight to the entries, and let's not waste any time. Number 50. Mothra Monsterverse. Titanus Mosuda, otherwise known as Mothra, is a titan previously revealed as a goddess that shares a symbiotic relationship with Godzilla. Mothra led humans to Godzilla's location so they could perform an act of terrorism in Godzilla's house. Mothra here is easily the least durable of her kin. She was able to take on Rodan but was overpowered throughout and only managed to stab him through sheer dumb luck. But hey, at least she tried. Still, she's pretty weak. If she had continued the fight with Rodan, however, Rodan got up just fine, and Mothra got killed moments later. If she had continued the fight, she would have lost. Number 49. Rodan Monsterverse. Titanus Rodan is a winged titan who slept in a volcano and dubbed the fire demon by stupid people from the past. Rodan burst out of a volcano when called by King Ghidorah and engaged the monster in battle. He got absolutely owned. Wielding very few abilities of his own, Rodan later fought Mothra and easily overpowered her, but because he's got all the brains of an average Australian on a hangover, he lost that fight too. Despite this, the clear domination he held throughout the fight means he definitely would have won in the long run. And more importantly, he survived a Ghidorah gravity beam. However, he only survived a single beam from one head that was not even designed to kill him. So the reason he's higher than some prior ones is because Ghidorah's gravity beams are probably stronger than the atomic breath, but he put up no fight. These ones you can swap around, who cares? Number 48. Hedorah, Showa land and flying forms. Hedorah is an alien creature who fed on pollution and has multiple forms. Unlike with Destoroyah though, I can't really separate flying and landing because he doesn't really have any sort of visible power difference. The landing form of Hedorah is a terrestrial one created to venture on land, and the flying one was made to play mini-golf on Mars with Scott Cawthon. Just kidding, it flies. Unfortunately, Hedorah is here simply because he tanked Godzilla's attacks effortlessly. Like, Godzilla couldn't harm them. Unfortunately, he also trounced them super easily, so it's not like they have much for hope anyway. Hedorah is a weird one to rank, because any form of Hedorah is nearly invincible, but any kaiju before this he could probably beat, but any kaiju after could probably beat it purely because it sucks at life. And the following kaiju can actually do some damage and didn't lose as easily.
There's two!
Number 47. Mothra Tokyo SOS Larva. As their mother failed to take down Godzilla and Kiryu was sent out to combat him, the larvae of Mothra hatched from their egg to take down the king of the monsters. After their mother came down with a bad case of explosion, the two tried to avenge her by silking a weakened Godzilla so Kiryu could take them out to sea. So why are they here? Well, they hurt Godzilla the same way the Heisei Larva did, but they also survived an atomic breath. So they're tougher and just as strong, meaning she's the first kaiju on this list who could both harm and take an atomic breath from Godzilla. And that's it, they're still really low.
And what's that sign?
Number 46. Mothra Tokyo SOS Imago. A descendant of the original Mothra, this Mothra first appeared with the Shobijin to warn Shinichi Chujo that the use of Godzilla's bones to construct Kiryu was immoral, and that if it was continued, Mothra would declare war on humanity. Despite this, when called upon by Shinichi, Mothra showed up to battle Godzilla for the sake of Japan. Thankfully, she did a really good job. Nah, she died, because that's what Mothra does. And to be fair, that being weak is what makes Mothra so heroic. Mothra got 3 shot by Godzilla, 2 blasts per wing and only a single blast to the body to finish her off. While technically she survived multiple breaths, 1 direct atomic breath killed her. Despite this, she should be stronger than her respective larvae, and unlike them, she did manage to put up a decent fight against Godzilla, and even reflected his atomic breath back at him, so there's that.
Hurry! Give me a hand! Hurry up! Look at that thing. What is that?
Number 45. Mothra, Godzilla, Mothra and King Ghidorah Giant Monsters All-Out Attack. Mothra was one of the 3 guardian monsters and god of the sea, despite being a moth. Mothra was awakened by Hirotoshi Isayama to stop Godzilla. Unfortunately, yeah, Mothra possesses the unique ability to shoot stingers, but that's about it. Despite the lack of powers, that honestly seems to have been more of a common thing, seeing as the last Mothra with real divine powers was the Heisei one. This Mothra is equally as weak as the previous one, but she survives a head-on atomic breath and dies to an up-close one. While she did survive less atomic breaths in the Tokyo SOS incarnation, hers were more full-on and both of them hit her entire body, and she got up faster than Tokyo SOS one to continue the fight. Number 44. Muto, female. The female Muto first awoke and freed itself from a facility in Nevada. Called by the male Muto, the female made its way through Vegas to peacefully reproduce and take care of its young. Fortunately, our heroic protagonist Big G killed all of her kids and then her husband before killing her as well so they could never reproduce. The female Muto isn't terribly strong. She was effortlessly overpowered by Godzilla when they fought, only surviving with the male Muto's help. However, she also survived 2 atomic breath. It is stated in the novels that it makes the atomic breath weaker when it's around the Mutos, but that's never shown or even alluded to in the film. Still, she sucks. Number 43. Modified Gigan. After Gigan's ridiculous death early on in Final Wars, the Zillions took him back and repaired him. Then he fought Mothra, and the idiot cut his own fucking head off. Real talk, the only reason this version of Gigan's up here is because he actually accomplished stuff. He put up a fight against Mothra, actually harmed both Godzilla and Monster X, and isn't completely awful at life. Number 42. Mothra, Godzilla Final Wars. Thousands of years ago, Mothra awoke to defend the Earth from Gigan, defeating and stuffing him into a rock layer off the coast of Hokkaido. When modified Gigan returned, Mothra took flight and took him on. She won. Mothra has access to very few abilities in this incarnation. However, she was able to use her scales to block Gigan's Gigarium cluster, and in doing so entered a state dubbed Fire Mothra, which was powerful enough to one-shot Gigan, but also fuck Mothra up. However, in the credits, Mothra is shown to have survived, so Mothra could take a hit that killed modified Gigan. This also makes her the only Mothra in a Godzilla film with a definite 1-on-1 win. Don't believe me? Mothra vs Godzilla. Mothra battles Godzilla and loses. The larvae need to work together to win, it's a 2-on-1. Ghidorah the three-headed monster. Mothra battles Ghidorah and loses and needs Godzilla and Rodan's help, 3-on-1. Ebra Horror the Deep. Mothra hits Godzilla once and runs away. Neither of them really won there, wasn't much of a fight. Godzilla vs Mothra. Mothra loses to Batra, then needs his help to beat Godzilla. GMK. Fought Godzilla with Ghidorah and still lost. Tokyo SOS. Fought Godzilla and lost, Larvae needed help from Kiryu to win. Monsterverse. Technically, you could say she beat Rodan, however Rodan got back up not long after, so if she had continued the fight instead of gone to help Godzilla, she would have lost the fight. I guess you could say she won. Number 41. Hedorah, Millennium. After the Zillions failed to stop Godzilla with the combined efforts of Anguirus, Rodan and King Keizer, they sent the combined forces of Ebra and Hedorah to stop him. It went about as well as you'd expect. 2 seconds later, Hedorah and Ebra were obliterated by an atomic breath. While we know pretty much nothing about this Hedorah, what we do know is that he was able to survive 2 atomic breaths. And that means he's the first kaiju to completely tank more than 1 atomic breath super casually. Because yes, he got back up. Meaning that while he is still in the category of being unable to put up a fight, he did tank multiple breaths. Number 40. Megalon. Due to continued nuclear tests, the sunken kingdom of Cetopia, ruled by Emperor Antonio, held a ritual to awaken their guardian Megalon, in a ploy to wage war on humanity. Guided by the Cetopian-controlled Jet Jaguar, Megalon rampaged Japan. Then Jet Jaguar was freed and faced the Bugon in a battle.
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Megalon possesses a horn-mounted laser beast killer beam, a mouth-fired geothermal napalm bullet, and of course, his arms are drills, which is awesome. Unfortunately, Megalon sucks. Megalon was pretty easily beaten in a 1-on-1 by Jet Jaguar, and even when assisted by Gigan, they were both effortlessly beaten by Godzilla. And when he went to face Godzilla 1-on-1, he was easily beaten. Literally, the only reason he's up here is because he survived 2 atomic breaths, the rest of these don't seem to actually hit him, and put up a little more of a fight than Final Wars Hedorah. There's not much more to say. Number 39. Batra Larva. 12,000 years ago, an ancient civilization created a device capable of controlling the climate itself. In defense, the Earth produced a dark counterpart of Mothra known only as Batra. Seeking to exterminate the human race, Batra did not just stop at the ancient civilization it was made to destroy, but was stopped by Mothra herself because he tried to kill everyone. When a meteor crashed into Earth and on course right on Godzilla, he wasn't doing anything wrong in this film, meteor just happened to hit him, Batra was reawakened and continued its attack. In his lava state, Batra can fire prism beams from his eyes and his horn, and was mostly resistant to Godzilla's atomic breath. The reason he sits above everyone else is because he's the first kaiju to be able to just casually tank atomic breaths aside from Hedorah. But unlike that thing, Batra actually put up a real fight. The fact that Batra put up a fight better than the ones before is quite good. Despite this, Godzilla still overpowered him pretty casually, so he doesn't really get to be much higher. Number 38. Heisei Imago. After the cosmos was stolen, the newly hatched Mothra Larva rampaged through Japan until the cosmos were returned. While leaving, Mothra encased herself on the National Diet Building and hatched later that night to confront Batra. Mothra is unique amongst Mothras for having antenna beams, allowing her long-range options that really only the Rebirther Mothra and Rulers of Earth versions share. Additionally, she can create lightning from her body and create a 3D mirror able to reflect attacks. While she should be above Batra's larval state through basic logic, she unfortunately has nothing on Batra's Imago form, which beat her with ease. That sucks. Number 37. Batra Imago. Batra turned into this form randomly one day and beat up Mothra. I have no other way to describe it. Possessing prism beams from his eyes and the ability to release energy from his feet, Batra was able to easily defeat Mothra and then lost really easily to Godzilla. Real talk, Batra is hard to talk about, because he should be above his lava form and is above Mothra, but he actually does worse against Godzilla than his lava form, losing really easily. He's still highly resistant to atomic breaths, but I can't put him much higher than this. Number 36. Mothra Showa 2nd Generation Larva. After a typhoon unearthed a giant egg, Happy Enterprises attempted to use the egg for their advantage as a tourist attraction. Unfortunately, Godzilla appeared to attack, only for the egg to be protected by the current, old Mothra. After her death, 2 infants hatched and together stopped Godzilla. However, sometime after that, one of them up and died. Knowing about the upcoming attack from King Ghidorah, the surviving larva attempted to get the help of Rodan and Godzilla. Unfortunately, she failed and took on Ghidorah solo, and that didn't go so well. However, it did inspire Rodan and Godzilla to help, and together they stopped Ghidorah. Mothra in this stage only really has a silk, but really she's here because she tanks all of the gravity beams from Ghidorah. And spoiler, this Ghidorah is at least a little bit above Godzilla, so her tanking all of this is more impressive than anyone else tanking atomic breaths. Then there's Number 35. Mothra Showa 2nd Generation Imago. Sometime after a battle with Ghidorah, Mothra had evolved into her Imago state. However, being a lazy bitch, she slept on Infant Island and... yes, she slept on Infant Island as all of her inhabitants, all of them were kidnapped by the Red Bamboo and taken to Lecce Island. After enough praying time to make a full-length film of it, Mothra got up and saved her people. Unfortunately, whatever capabilities his Mothra has are completely unknown. She knocked Godzilla over, but she didn't really fight him. All I can say is she's above her larval form to an unknown degree. Again.
What the hell's that?
Number 34. Mechagodzilla. After a test fire of the Dimension Tide, a distortion in space-time allowed a single egg to come out from the Carboniferous period. After it was found by Jun Hayasaka and dumped into the sewers, a swarm of Meganeulon came out and were able to acquire the DNA of Godzilla and return it to the Meganeulon Queen. After this, it mutated into the fearsome Mechagodzilla, intent on taking the rest of Godzilla's genome. Mechagodzilla has the capacity to drain the energy from opponents with her tail and unleash an immensely powerful fireball. Mechagodzilla is in a very unique position here. She was two-shot by atomic breaths, but was able to put up a really good fight. She hit Godzilla a lot and lasted way longer than anyone else taken out by atomic breaths. In a fight with the second generation Showa Mothra, while she is less durable, she'd likely be able to take a win due to being strong enough to be able to injure Godzilla and easily being one of the fastest kaiju. However, I think it's completely fair if you think she should be placed lower on the list due to her frailty. Number 33, Jet Jaguar. Built by Goro Ibuki, Jet Jaguar was a robot designed to not do violent things, but was taken by the Seatopians to guide Megalon to do violent things. Then because yes, he was able to achieve sentience and fought Megalon doing violent things. Jet Jaguar's only real ability in the film is his flight and size changing, and spotlights. Jet Jaguar's an interesting place. His scaling is very clear cut. He super easily beat Megalon, but lost to Gigan in a one-on-one. However, because he was able to take so much punishment from their combined might, he definitely deserves to be above Mothra, who could take punishment, but not dish it out. Jet Jaguar can take less punishment, but dish out more than anyone on this list so far short of Gyrus. And between them, I do have some trouble, but I think the gap in attack from the two of them is less than the gap in durability, and the durability gap is in Jet Jaguar's favor. Number 32, Mechagodzilla City. In 2042, humanity's resources were scattered between three projects, the Arashio, the Aratrum, and Project Mechagodzilla at the foot of Mount Fuji. Produced by both humanity and their alien friends the Bilusolado, Mechagodzilla was completed by 2046. However, for unknown reasons it did not activate and was destroyed with the facility it was built in by Godzilla. Or so it was believed, for when humanity returned at 20,000 years had passed, Mechagodzilla was revealed to have survived and spread as a nanometal city. Mechagodzilla City is easily the largest kaiju on this list, and the only anime kaiju, which kinda sucks. However, it's not that impressive. While the regular form of Mechagodzilla has some really awesome weapons, like the Convergent Neutron Cannon, and the Hyper-Lance, the city only really has the nanometal particle diffusing type thermal energy buffer layer, which is a totally viable lane that isn't clunky to say at all. While this layer does allow it to diffuse the impact of energy weapons like this version of Godzilla's atomic breath, the railguns and wheels don't seem to be terribly effective on Godzilla unless he's weakened. And while this city was definitely capable of doing some unique things like trapping Godzilla, once its core is destroyed, it's done. And destroying its core isn't that hard, especially when you consider that Godzilla destroyed the whole city in 2 shots once its nanometal was no longer repairing itself. One strong blast would take it out, and this makes sense when you consider cities aren't something kaiju are incapable of destroying. Despite this, the ability to buffer, and more importantly the fact that the city technically has regeneration, and it's only destroyable with its weakness, it definitely ranks above everything prior. Unfortunately, amongst kaiju with specific weaknesses, this is the one that can be found by literally any kaiju, and it's something that can be destroyed by accident. The fact that it doesn't do much damage isn't really helping it. Its biggest advantage is that it regens, but that weakness is very easy. Number 31, Orga. Millions of years ago, a strange UFO crashed into the Earth. Powered by solar energy, being under the water forced the inhabitants to turn themselves into antimatter to survive. That is their logical through line. And rendered their ship inoperable. In the year 2000, humans retrieved the ship, exposing it to sunlight and allowing it to rise into the air once more. Searching for the perfect organisms, the Millennium aliens found Godzilla to be the perfect being to take the form of to adapt to the environment of Earth. After absorbing some of Godzilla's DNA, the Millennium appeared in its flesh and transformed into the monster Orga, who fought Godzilla and lost. Orga possesses incredibly large hands with impressive strength. He can remotely control the UFO he came from and fire a powerful energy beam from his shoulder. Unfortunately for Orga, he is riding solely on his regenerative abilities that don't work if a large portion of his torso is blown up. Between him and Mechagodzilla City, it's hard to say. Neither of them did significant damage to Godzilla when they fight with him, with Mechagodzilla exploiting a weakness doing any damage and still losing. So while it's probably harder to find Mechagodzilla City's weakness, I will acknowledge that Orga was actually able to send Godzilla flying with a hit. It didn't harm Godzilla, and it didn't incapacitate Godzilla, but he can also control a ship that, despite being two-shot, can also fire a beam. I don't know, you could definitely debate as to which of these kaiju is stronger. I think it's a toss-up. But I'll put Orga here just because he doesn't need human pilots to be able to distract his opponent with a separate entity. Orga can control his ship remotely. Number 30. Gigan Showa. Though his origins aren't fully known, Gigan was a space dinosaur transformed by the M-Space Hunter Nebula aliens and sent out alongside King Ghidorah to take over Earth. He failed. Then the Cetopians asked the M-Space Hunter blah 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 for help, and they sent Gigan, and he failed again. Gigan possesses anti-gravity flight, hooked hands, a buzzsaw in his chest, and a laser beam that he's never actually used in the movies, so it doesn't count. Gigan is a really strange one. He can take atomic breaths, but they still knock him over, and he can do exceedingly large amounts of damage to Godzilla and Anguirus. He even beat Jaguar in a one-on-one fight, so he's definitely above Megalon. I also would say he's above the previous two because he can survive a lot of hits without needing regeneration. He's tougher than those before, and stronger than those before, but he's a total jobber. Gigan lost to Godzilla even without Megalon's help, and once all of his help was gone in this film, he lost to Godzilla pretty easily. That's why Gigan kinda gets his own category around the halfway mark. Just like his design, Gigan's really strange. He's powerful and tough, but he's definitely not in the category of those who put up a good fight against Godzilla. Speaking of which, we can get to those. Number 29. Biollante. If you're wondering why I didn't split Biollante into her forms, it's because I forgot that the flower form for Godzilla 2. And even then, it didn't do much worse than the beast form, and I don't want to completely re-edit this video. Following the death of his daughter Erika, the scientist Genshiro Shiragami spliced the cells of Erika and a flower together so he could keep her forever. When an earthquake struck and killed the majority of the roses, Genshiro spliced the final one with the DNA of Godzilla in a desperate attempt to keep his daughter alive. The flower eventually mutated and evolved into a gigantic flower plant that Godzilla blew up. However, after that, Biollante returned in her greatest and most powerful form, and fought Godzilla, heating him up enough that the anti-nuclear energy bacteria that was shot into him prior took effect and knocked him out. Now, I hate putting Biollante so low on the list, but she kinda doesn't do much. Biollante manages to put up more of a fight and injure Godzilla more than pretty much any kaiju prior. In fact, you could probably say Biollante is in the same category as Gigan, except she does better than Gigan, but doesn't take atomic breaths well. Legitimately, it sucks, because I honestly, unironically, consider Biollante one of the greatest practical effects in cinema history. Right up there with John Carpenter's The Thing, Jurassic Park's T-Rex, and the Xenomorph Queen from Aliens. The sheer amount of work that goes into portraying her, it just means she can't do a whole lot. She has her vines, which are the whole reason she's above Gigan. Both of them can cause huge damage to Big G with their attacks, but Gigan only with his one buzzsaw, at least not unless Godzilla is injured by external forces to the point where Gigan can actually get in enough hits with his hooks to do damage. But Biollante has a crap ton of vines that can all do the same amount of damage as Gigan's buzzsaw, and they have an easier time hitting. And both could survive atomic breaths, but Biollante didn't take them very well at all. Both got beaten just as easily by Godzilla, and yes, I consider this a Godzilla win. Biollante only knocked him out because of an external element affecting him, and Biollante had to turn into spores and leave, otherwise she would have died from the same wounds she received from Godzilla. Biollante can do more damage than Gigan in the same amount of time, and unlike Gigan, she never lost to Godzilla while fighting alongside an ally in a 2-on-1. Unfortunately, she just falls short of being terribly high on this list. Still, she's fucking great, isn't she? What?
あいつはアンギラスだ。 Anguirus.
Number 28. Anguirus, Showa First Generation. After the death of the original Godzilla in 1954, Japan believed it was done with giant monster attacks. Then Toho appeared. I'm just kidding. Toho ran before Godzilla. This, however, proved to be untrue, as pilot Shuichi Tsukioka and his friend Kojikawa Kobayashi encountered a giant battle between two giant monsters on Iwado Island during a rescue mission. These two monsters were a second Godzilla and the Anguirus, a Cretaceous Ankylosaurus that survived underground and was awoken and mutated by bombs in the 1950s. This creature was the first monster Godzilla ever fought, and unfortunately didn't leave terribly much of an impact compared to his successor. With Anguirus, we're heading into the territory of kaiju that can both tank an atomic breath, unlike the last few, and can put up a good fight. And Anguirus can certainly tank an atomic breath. Unfortunately, while he could certainly put up a fight, at least he was able to last a decent amount of time against Godzilla, he couldn't really do much. Now yes, I'm aware that several of the kaiju from here on out could not damage Godzilla to the same extent as the last two, or recover wounds as much as the regenerators. However, they were able to rival Godzilla's power for significantly longer. Everyone prior to this have barely lasted a few minutes. Anguirus was able to fight Godzilla for ages and hold his own the entire time. So while I'm happy to put Anguirus here, you're not getting any higher, buddy. Number 27. Rodan Heisei. On Adenoa Island, a group of scientists discovered an intact egg in a pterosaur's nest. As they prepared to take it to Japan, they were intercepted by a giant pterosaur creature known as Rodan. Rodan was able to tank multiple atomic breaths and this wholesale beating from Godzilla. While it did pretty much cripple him, he was actively still alive, even after being wailed on by Godzilla for fucking ages. Rodan can create supersonic waves as normal and harm Godzilla with his beak attacks. I'm willing to say that between Heisei Rodan and first generation Anguirus, there's not much of a difference. The only reason Rodan's higher is because he can fly, and Anguirus can't. Once again, I'll reiterate, Rodan doesn't deal as much visible wounds as Biollante or Gigan. However, he was able to last longer against Godzilla than them in a one-on-one fight. And he was able to still harm Godzilla and tank atomic breaths. He wasn't beaten as casually, and that's enough in my books. Number 26. King Ghidorah, Millennium. Holy fuck, that's awesome. After the destruction of Baragon and Mothra, the combined energies of Ghidorah's fellow guardian monsters pooled into him, transforming him into his most powerful form, King Ghidorah. King Ghidorah possesses flight, gravity beams, and the capacity to absorb and fire back Godzilla's own atomic breath in some sort of giant ball of lightning and radiation. King Ghidorah is more powerful than his previous form, thus he could probably survive atomic breaths much better, and could battle Godzilla underwater, in Godzilla's own element, for ages, lasting a lot longer than even Rodan and Anguirus. His gravity beams could also do damage to Godzilla, and his energy shield left the king with a scar that proved instrumental to his defeat. Unfortunately for Ghidorah, his own gravity beams could be absorbed by Godzilla, and a single supercharged atomic breath spelled the end for the 1,000-year dragon. That's really why he's here. One super atomic breath killed him, while a similar attack didn't immediately kill the next character on this list. And so that was part 2. Obviously the next part will be the final part, and I'll be able to get this done hopefully within a reasonable span of time. Instead of making you guys wait ages for a single video that not many people will watch, I'll make you wait less time for 3 videos that not many people are going to watch. So goodbye for now. See you again later.